Welcome to Living Free in Tennessee, where we talk about building the life you choose on your terms. Today is Friday, April
19th?
19th. Yeah, it's the 19th, 2024, and this is episode 897 of Living Free in Tennessee. And it's a Homestead Happenings Day, but I was having a talk with AJ last night, and he's like, we should just do like a fireside chat sort of thing. So we're going to do that today. And that means we're going to talk about whatever the heck we want to talk about.
Sounds good.
Yeah, hopefully everybody can hear us. Just let me know if you can't hear us. We're going through the mic on the Logitech, and because I decided the handing of the mics back and forth is not awesome, and I'm looking down at my computer to see your comments, but I'll try to look at you at the camera once in a while, guys. Before we jump into our conversation about the homestead today, I do want to talk about our featured event of today's show, and it's the Living Free in Tennessee Spring Workshop, which is next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I've had two people get sick and they can't come. And so that means there are two tickets available at livingfreeintennessee.com. Just in navigation, go to workshop and you can grab your spot. And I will let you in this close to the workshop because I've already spent the money on getting ready for them anyway. So we might as well give them a chance to get their money back. So if you buy tickets, then I can refund them their deposit and everybody's happy. And let's just talk about, why do people not want to miss Living Free in Tennessee, AG?
Because community.
Because of community. What do you mean by that?
It's really easy to spend a lot of time online watching people and communicating, but there's definitely nothing like taking the time, spending the money, and going and meeting the people and doing the thing.
But $500, oh my gosh, isn't that too much money?
Not in the grand scheme of things.
Why do you say that?
Because in the last year, since I've started traveling to events, I have made connections that have paid off in spades. And that's not why I did it, but they did because of community.
Okay. And how's the food going to be?
Food's going to be fantastic.
What's on the menu?
All sorts of goodness.
So when you got here, you processed the lamb on your first day.
Yes.
What's happening with that lamb?
So that lamb is turning into actual shepherd's pie with lamb and not beef, because that's not shepherd's pie.
Right. And we're going to do a version with challah rice and mashed potatoes so that my keto friends have something to eat. That same meal, we have a delicious pork loin in case you don't want to eat sheep, and some side dishes. What else are we making that you're looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to the homemade applesauce we're going to make this week for the pork. I wish I could try the tamales, but I can't. But the brisket tacos are going to be fire.
Yeah. Awesome. Are you doing the brisket?
Yeah.
Yeah. So AJ's doing the brisket. It's from our cow, and we're making brisket tacos. So anyway, that's sort of a highlight. Now there's some pretty darn cool presentations as well. So are you more interested in like the homesteading stuff, like how to develop water when there is no water, the solar build, or the more business stuff where we have like a lawyer coming in talking about how not to make terrible mistakes as you get up and running, or how to build your YouTube channel? Like, which things are you looking most forward to?
Mostly the solar build, because we're desperately trying to figure out how to do that at our place.
Yeah.
But I'm also really looking forward to Patricia's talk.
Yeah.
The lawyer.
Yeah, she fell off her horse.
That's not surprising.
And for a second, I was like, maybe she's not going to come. And she's like, oh, no, I'm coming. I'm just not camping now because I hurt myself. And I was like, fair. So anyway, if you want to get one of the two seats or two of the two seats, you can go to livingfreeintennessee.com and check that out. Okay. I also want to thank our two sponsors of the day. And the first one is EMP Shield. What are you doing right after you leave here?
Going to the SOE compound and installing EMP shields in John Willis's vehicles.
Awesome. So EMP Shield makes a device that protects your whole house or your car from some unexpected electrical things that can happen, including if the transformer on the pole outside your house gets hit by a lightning bolt, which in the South is a thing that happens, or if it just blows up for another surge reason. And they're the only product on the market that has a $25,000 insurance policy. If their device fails to protect your stuff, you have up to $25,000 of replacement that you can do for that. So if you want one of those, go to empshield.com. They're about $350, And if you use the coupon code LFTN for Living Free in Tennessee, you will get $50 off. I've forgotten who our second sponsor of today's show is. Do you know who it is?
I have no idea. We didn't talk about that.
Oh, yeah, I do know who it is. Midwest Preparedness Project has an event coming up in May. Go to MidwestPreparednessProject.com and check that out there. Our second sponsor of today's show. That was sort of, it's not one of my usual ones. That's why I was like, wait a minute. Anyway, it's going to be really cool. And they have like mostly female speakers this time talking about preparedness and homesteading from the ladies' point of view. And that's something that's not often represented in our network. So that's going to be fun. And dudes, you need to know, like if you're preparing for your whole family, you need to prepare for your wife too. And she can help you. And we know what to do. So check that out, MidwestPreparednessProject.com. But that is time for a fireside chat. So what do you want to talk about first? Can you hand me my water while you're talking?
I don't know. We were talking about Nicole's global traveling last night, and that was an interesting conversation because pretty much I've heard a lot of times you talk about your traveling, but never really gone into depth, and I think people would be interested in that.
Well, what about my traveling is interesting?
The whole hostel, creating your own, like once you get there, just like creating your own adventure, kind of like the flip books that you read when you were a kid.
So like many people, I started life with a job that paid me $20,000 a year, which even at that time was not very much money. My rent was about $800 a month. My monthly income off of that 20,000 was about $1,400 take home a month. So my rent was, I had to like get food, electricity, internet had started being a thing at the time. So pay for my internet if I was going to have that, cable TV, which I chose not to have. Anything else had to come out of the rest of that money. Student loans. I had student loans. And so you wouldn't think that I would have enough money to go places like Thailand and Japan and Germany and all of these places where I've been, Spain. But what I also realized at that age is that like I don't have children. I don't have all that much debt right now. I don't have a lot of responsibility. Like I don't have sheep to take care of. Sheep were never actually in my original plan. And I liked traveling and I liked learning about new cultures. I was bilingual German by that time, a German speaker. And so I made a personal goal to go to a new country every year for my vacation. Because when you work a job, you get paid vacation. You know what that's like, right? Yeah. I don't have paid vacation anymore. If I go on a vacation, I don't get paid. So I don't go on vacation much anymore because of that.
Well,
yeah. But I like live in a really great place that's like being on vacation all the time. Anyway, so that's what I did. And what I was telling AJ last night is like once you buy the ticket to get to wherever you're going, like if you want to go to Thailand, at the time when I went to Thailand, I was able to get a round trip ticket for $600. So I came up with $600, bought the ticket like 2 months before I left, had the time off. And once you get to the country, you can figure out how to travel in that country for usually not too much money, except for Japan. I haven't figured that out for Japan yet. Japan was just really, it was like more expensive than being in New York for me. And I ate a lot of food I didn't like there, surprisingly, because I love Japanese cuisine here. I didn't dislike it. It just wasn't as good as what I get here. And there were a couple of experiences that were, but like street food was very egg based for what I came across. Anyway, I ate a lot of gyoza.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's like a Japanese dumpling that's based on a Chinese wonton.
Oh.
Yeah, like the real wonton, not the fried ones.
Not the American Chinese food.
Pot stickers, I guess, is probably the. But once you get to the country, you start getting the inside scoop on how to do things more cheaply, because there are people there who want to make money from the tourists who are like, hey, I got a room in my house for rent and it has its own bathroom and it's going to be less than the hotel. And you can work those things out. And youth hostels were where I started learning those skills, because the first time I went to Germany, I went with my mom and sister. I was still in high school, and we rented a car so we could go drive around and see things, and we stayed in youth hostels for like between $15 and $25 a night per person, which is way cheaper than $150 to $300 a night for a hotel, right?
Yeah.
So when you buy these all-inclusive packages to go on a tour to Spain or, whatever, they're pricey. Like they can be $5,000 or something, and it takes a hunk out of your pocketbook. But when you get there and just start figuring out what you want to see, and you look at the guidebooks, and it's actually not that expensive. And if you don't eat out at restaurants all the time, like they have grocery stores in other countries too. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah, even Peru.
Do they have like kitchens where you can cook stuff too?
Yeah, if you book a kitchen,
Nice.
or you just eat bread and cheese.
Well, the bread's way higher quality too.
Yeah. So, and actually the countries where bread's not a staple, like when you go to Thailand, it's not like they eat sandwiches there, right? The street food is not that expensive.
As long as you don't mind eating cat.
Whatever. Whatever.
Yeah. Needs meat.
I mean, I think my green chicken curry was usually chicken. I don't know that cat meat tastes like chicken, do you?
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's something that you can do, but you have to be willing to go into a situation like that without a plan. So my rule was always like, the first night I get to any country, I know where I'm going to stay. First night or two. That's usually the most expensive room I have the whole time. When I went to Peru, we booked a room, and they picked us up at the airport and took us to the place. Like they had that added service for $10. And we were in a room, and my requirements were that we have a room with its own bathroom, so we paid a little bit more. And most places when you're out of the US are including breakfast. And it's like toast. It's nothing crazy, but like toast and coffee or whatever. But that room, we had that room, and then we went around Lima and talked to some travel agents and decided we wanted to go to Cusco so we could go to Machu Picchu. And had I booked that whole tour in advance, it would have been $500 or $600 more than it was just going and buying the flight and all of that stuff. And even then, I paid more than I would have had to if I was truly scrapping it. So I don't know. That's just sort of my thought. Like the fact that I've done that travel probably has set me up for a lot of resilience when stuff goes wrong here. That's what I think. I think traveling is well worth the time, and you see new things, and you learn new perspectives. And I think that's why it's like the skill you develop is not to judge people for things you shouldn't be judging people for, basically. Like if somebody steals my stuff, I'm going to be pissed, and that's not okay, and I do judge that. But if somebody has a different lifestyle or opinion or priorities, I'm like, that's cool for you, and it's none of my business. So what else did you want to know about? Yeah, he was really interested in the Zimmer thing in Germany. They put a sign out that says room, and you'll be driving around. You'll see a sign that says room, and you go and you knock on the door, knock, 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 and you say, is the room free? And they say yes or no. And if it's free, they'll show you the room, and they'll tell you how much it is a night. And the prices for those, when I was doing that in the 90s, was often like maybe $5 more a night than a youth hostel. And you get your own room. Usually, sometimes it was a shared bathroom. They'd give you, cold cuts and rolls in the morning for breakfast and coffee and send you on your way. And the only thing was that you were expected to get out of the room in the morning. You don't just hang out in the room when you rent the room.
Well, but when you're out and about,
it's like
hotels are
I need to go see 9 castles today.
Yeah.
I'll be back tonight.
I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was something that when Airbnb started being a thing here, and people were like, how could you stay in somebody's house? I'm like, I used to do it all the time in Germany. Like I didn't die. I was fine. And I know some people have had some like not great Airbnb experiences over the years, but I've had none. Like even my least awesome Airbnb was usually just because air conditioning broke or something, which happens. It's a thing that happens. So I don't know. Did you ever travel like that? What?
15 minutes in and I haven't said a word.
Have you ever traveled like that?
A little bit. I mean, I traveled more with the military, so a lot of times, like, we brought our own hotel called the ship. So there wasn't a lot of, like, having to find a place to stay or anything like that. But yes, I've gotten the world travel out of my system.
It's not out of mine. I was asking him last night, like, do you care if I leave for a week at a time and start going to a new country every year again? Do you care?
It's like
He has to take care of all my stuff when I'm gone.
the answer is no. I mean, what's the difference in you going to Montana or going to Tibet? Like,
Well, in Montana, I'll see AJ.
maybe you're gone for an
And have a place to
extra
stay.
2 or 3 days or something because of travel, but it's like you already leave all the time for speaking engagements and whatnot, so that's nothing but a thing.
Yeah, so I'm really thinking I stopped doing that travel because of a relationship I was in, and the person did not want to get on airplanes. And so,
I don't want to get on airplanes.
well, and I just stopped, and then, you know, for since 2016, I've been working on the Holler roast really hard and on LFTN really hard, and I've never really felt like I could leave and not be working. Like even when I go do my vacations I say I'm going to do where I'm going to turn off and do nothing. I don't know that I've ever actually turned off unless I was in a tent in the woods where there was no cell network on a backpack hiking thing. So,
Well, and isn't that a quintessential part of living free in Tennessee is the freedom to venture off and do all the things?
in theory,
I mean,
I just want to live the life I want. And this homestead is the life I want. Like right now. I don't know if when I get older I'll change my mind. I used to live in the city and walk to the cafes and whatnot and shop at the farmers market and all of those things and go out and see symphonies, which I do sometimes, and go see rock and roll or learn swing dancing or any of the things you can do in the city. And I think moving to Tennessee, I was already really interested in making things from absolute scratch. So I remember like at my job, I'm like, I got an ice cream maker. And the owner of the company goes, do you ever do anything like not the absolute hardest way, Nicole? And I was like, that's a valid point. He's like, you could go to the store and spend $2 on a carton of ice cream.
except it's frozen dessert product, not ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, but it's so good when you make it from scratch. So um, that's always been a thing. And even when I lived in the city, I was organizing neighborhoods to harvest the pears from my tree, juice them, and then ferment the pear cider. And then everybody got pear cider in the neighborhood because I had this giant pear tree that was taller than my house. That may, a tick.
I was going to say that's it. Lovely.
We know what to do with those. He's going to go burn that thing alive, just so you know. That's what we're doing. Gus, where were you that you got a tick?
I haven't gone anywhere today.
That's
Here
weird.
in
We
the
don't.
chair.
That's a very rare sighting this close to the house.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I was like, yeah.
Anyway, so Packrat says the Homestead Global Wanderlust balance will be interesting dynamic to watch you to continue unpack. Yeah, so I think it would be fun. And the other thing is, I can travel alone, but going to different countries is way more fun in pairs. Part of that is because when you're in pairs, there's somebody who has your back if you get sick. And I've had several times while being out of the country where I got very sick. One of them was in Munich. I was very sick, and when you're staying in a youth hostel, you have to GTFO at like 8 or 9 in the morning. There's some like have to be out, and they're not open again until 4. And if you're staying in a youth hostel, they can tell you, hey, you need to clean the bathrooms. Here's the stuff to clean the bathrooms. Like they will use you as labor. That's how they keep the costs cheap, right? And unless you're like, I have to go catch my flight, like you go do the thing that's expected. Okay, we need to get the dog out of here.
Shasta, come here.
Yeah. She was going to unplug the whole system.
I also find that while I absolutely love where I live, everything about it, about once a year, I need to get completely away from it so that I can come back and truly appreciate where we are and what we do and the life that we live.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Um, but I don't know. It's just I like having somebody there. I got really sick in Munich and I had to leave for the day. And I like my friend was like, okay, we'll just come to a park and sit on the bench and just wait. And I think it was the water. Um, and I was sick for 6 weeks after that. Like whatever I got was an intestinal thing that lasted for 6 weeks, and I was very sick. But I was less sick after the first 2 days. Like I had a fever. She gave me like her blanket because they issue you a blanket or a sheet thing. Like there's this whole thing. Yeah, I had my sleeping bag, and I was like totally had a fever. Probably got everybody else sick in the youth. Like imagine how that would be in a post 2020 world.
Oh, people would lose.
I mean,
their
I would have
minds.
been like thrown out on the street or something. I don't even know what they do with you now when you get sick, and you will get sick in travel. It's a thing. My other one was in Peru. I went through this whole 10-day trip without accidentally drinking the water. And on the last morning, and we were at Machu Picchu, on the last morning, I drank the orange juice. And I'm halfway through the glass, and I'm like, that's Tang, which means they mixed it with water. And the water they mixed it with was not bottled water. Even though they, like, usually they know, so they don't do that to you. But this time, for whatever reason, yeah, Montezuma's revenge, man. And so I hiked both peaks of Machu Picchu with the squirts. And then I had Imodium with me, so I took Imodium and it stopped it long enough for me because you're gonna lose like hydration too. And like that whole Machu Picchu trip changed my whole perspective on life. Like that was the like defining moment in my life was standing on the top of the second peak, realizing I had done this physically challenging thing and overcome it. And I sat there and like I felt like the world told me everything's going to be okay. You're doing exactly what you can do. No matter what choice you make when you get home about your job or anything else, it'll be okay. And ever since then, I've stressed out a lot less about am I going to launch the coffee business? Like all of those things that you have to decide about building your life. Like, yes, has there been challenges? Absolutely. But it's never not been okay. Like I had a really shitty week this week because on Tuesday I was driving to town and I got hit and I'm pretty sure my car is totaled and like they broke the tire off and my car's not worth that much money. But I'm sitting here, no injuries, not sore, totally okay, going, that's kind of awesome. Right?
It's just a financial inconvenience.
It's a financial inconvenience, and I don't currently have wheels, so it's hard to drive places without borrowing other people's cars. So,
which is why community, right?
Yeah.
Community.
Yeah, so having the Holler neighbors, because of every choice I've made, there are like 3 other vehicles here I can use if I need to go, shopping for the Living Free in Tennessee, workshop, food. And then like I was talking to John Willis and I was like, he's like, you can just buy a new car, Nicole. And I'm like, yeah, it will result in me financing it if I do that because I don't actually have $70,000 set aside for a new car. And
wait, podcasters and homesteaders aren't rich?
I know I look like I'm rich because I sell all those tickets to Self Reliance Festival. And like, if you count the number of people there, like 500 times $100, what is that?
50,000.
It's 50. So obviously I'm pocketing at least 25 of that, right?
100%. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Not the case, guys. But
If that's the case, I want to raise.
Yeah, I will double your salary right now. So, yeah, so he's not really on salary, guys. So I'm saying that so that because reasons.
Yeah.
That would be something that could actually get me in trouble and you in trouble. It wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he said, Loco, Phil, Nomad Phil says homesteaders are great salespeople. Yes, they are.
Somebody was watching.
As discussed on Wednesday. I don't know. It's just everything has been okay. And there's going to be a day someday in my future where I find out I'm going to die. Or I don't find out and I just die because it's fast and sudden. And even that's okay. Like, we come onto this life and we know that that's part of the process. Like right now, we have a really cute bottle lamb, Stormy.
Yep.
Stormy's doing great. She started eating grass under Holler this morning, so that means she's really into grass now. So she's gone from chewing on grass to actually wanting to eat grass to I think she was tossing a fit this morning and he took her over to the pasture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
So that's great. And soon she'll be living with the sheep. And one day I may come out there and something may have happened to her and she'll be dead. And that'll still be okay. I will not be happy about it. There will be tears because we have like this really close connection with bottle lamb now, but it'll also still be okay. And I don't regret having invested time in her, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So that's the deal. I don't know what else to talk about. What else do you want to talk about? Or you? What happened on the homestead this week?
Mostly trying to prep for the upcoming workshop / lots of time staring at a computer screen looking for vehicles.
Yeah. There has been more time. So I was going to buy a car yesterday and it was all arranged. And then the guy like stopped talking to me and marked it as sold. So somebody else got that car. And I had found a car almost exactly like my one that's currently at the body shop. And I had enough money in my emergency fund to just buy it. I'm like, well, I'll just buy that stupid car because it's like $1,400 to $1,600 for a monthly rental. Oh, and I don't have full coverage for a reason because my car is not worth that much. Like the replacement cost of my car is probably somewhere between $55,000 and $10,000, and I think it's more on the 55 side.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm, so if the repairs are more than 55, it gets so for me, like paying the less insurance every month for the years that I've had the car is cumulatively more than $5,500 right now, which is the math I did when I decided whether I wanted full coverage or not.
Especially when you factor in the deductible that you would have had to pay.
Right, because there's always a deductible. So it's just something I made that choice for myself. Other people make different insurance choices, but what that means is I don't have like rental car coverage for right now. I don't have, like, oh, we'll just repair your car and fight it with their insurance company, like all of the things. It's more tedious. And there's a point like they're accusing me of being at fault. I'm accusing them of being at fault. That's all going to work out. If it doesn't go in my favor, it's, I have to decide how much effort I'm willing to put in for $5,500. So, and nobody's hurt, like, woo. So I like really like my car now. Like I've just been looking for Tahoes everywhere. I found one today. I found one today for 65, same year. Is it? I think it's even the same color.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah. On the side instead of Tahoe, it just says ho.
Yeah.
On both sides, like that was an intentional alteration that somebody. So I'm like, I'm not sure I want to drive a car around that says ho on the side.
Yeah, that's 5 minutes to take the rest of it all the way off.
So yeah, I know, but it was just funny. I was like, somebody intentionally made it into a ho car.
It's like the old Toyotas where they painted the YO so it said yo on the back.
Yeah. Yo. So
Ho's a little funnier though.
Ray Pierre has mentioned you should give us a like if you want to help us get the algorithms moving. Also, I want to talk about this hat. What does my hat say?
Not gonna do it today. It says shit show supervisor.
Shit show supervisor. Jenny sent me this hat in advance of the spring workshop. So tactical, you know how we like kind of poke at getting ready for the spring workshop and then Mama Sauce gets here and stuff gets real?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know when that's happening?
It's probably not.
It's happening this afternoon.
Wait,
Are you ready?
Today?
Are you ready for Mama Sauce mode?
I don't know if she was getting here today.
Are you ready for Mama Sauce mode?
No.
You better get ready. I'm going to channel my inner Mama Sauce. I might get her on the phone because we got to kick it into overdrive.
So she's not showing up today.
No, but she's going to be here. I have to like put her face in front of my face and look at you. I'll just do it myself then.
Tactil's not ready for that.
As soon as we get off of this, I'm going to move sheep. So
okay. As soon as we get off that, AJ and I have a meeting, and then we're going to go get the stuff we need to finish making shepherd's pie. And I'm setting up the rest of the kitchen and cleaning up over there. I want a power wash too. So
It's over there.
yeah, so we'll do that anyway. DFW, why aren't you here for the workshop? Come on, man. It's coming up. He's moving to Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah. He's Jack's cook guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Sweet. Okay. What else on the homestead?
I mean, I've been hammering trying to get fencing up in a couple of other areas that used to be unmanageable to a point now where I'm actually starting to plant trees. So
He's
I've been
planting trees
hammering-
instead of getting ready for the LFTM workshop.
I haven't planted any trees in like a couple of weeks, but I am still working on some of those areas, and
He's looked admiringly at his trees, though.
I do. I enjoy actually getting a cup of coffee and walking back through there and just looking, because it used to be slab rock and invasive vines, and now it's all not that. There's lots of other things, not necessarily the stuff that I want, but you know, it's all a stepping stone moving towards grass and trees, and not rock.
I keep seeing people post that they're finding morels in Tennessee still, but we have not found morels for 2 weeks.
I haven't walked back to look for
I have.
that specifically.
I have. We have, because every so often I'm like, I need a break, and I go look, and I'm like, nope, no more morels.
That's why everything's not getting done. Nicole's going on break.
Yeah, we're gonna go into mama sauce mode right after
Also
this.
eating mushrooms.
Be all right.
Mushrooms are the best. Yeah, and you know we've also got Nighthawk in the holler walking in the back of the screen right now. You want to be on the live stream? So he's been popping in. When do you start making pierogi? Like all the Holler neighbors are here. Ernie says, I live in East Tennessee. Could you please share a link to your Homestead group to get local beef and other local stuff? Okay, so everybody's asking me for local beef. The best way to find local beef are to get to know the local producers in your area. I started at the farmers market, and I did a search on Facebook and on Google and found some. And I've developed relationships over time. East Tennessee is not close to me, but there is C&S Farm in Smithville, Tennessee, has a grocery store that sells locally grown and produced animals. I don't remember if they grass finish or not. Personally, I just buy a cow or two every year and keep it in my freezer. But when you go out and you're like, hey, whole cow, it's amazing what you'll find. And then you can go look at the farm and decide if you want those. But they're not hard to find.
The other thing you can do is find a butcher shop that's really reputable and ask them where they get their local beef from.
Yeah.
And then work through with them, because getting local beef is half of it. Having a relationship with the processor is the other half of it.
Or you have to process it. And processing a beef is kind of an undertaking. Do you want to process a cow this week?
Not really.
Why
It's
not?
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, we got the spring workshop coming up. Do you want to know when we go into mama sauce mode?
Aren't we there already?
Oh, no. We go right after this. We switch over into mama sauce mode.
Okay.
But we have to pretend she's here telling us to do. And then I'm going to get like a printout of her face and put it in mine. And I'm just going to say, then I'll do it myself.
Okay, so after I come back,
Yeah. So, yeah, it's time to get stuff going. When are you going to start making pierogies?
I'm gonna start making them later today when I come back.
When you come back, are you going to the store to get the things?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to the store to get the things too.
Okay.
Maybe we should carpool. Do you have to be at an appointment?
Yes.
Oh, okay, never mind. You go.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to leave now. I'm just, you know,
Get out of here.
don't miss your appointment. He's like walking to my house to make a cup of coffee. I don't know what he's doing. Okay, so stuff on the homestead. I'm behind on planting. I keep saying I'm going to go out and plant. I keep like not going out and planting and doing other things.
Tomato wall is happening today.
Tomato wall is happening today, and I actually have transplants that need to go in. And what I've been stuck behind is I want more soil in the AP beds.
Okay.
So I may just put them in without the more soil and just deal with it. for the year.
Does soil exist on property, or do we need to?
We have to
acquire
dig it.
We have to dig it.
I don't want to put store oil in my store soil in my AP because there is I think it's an anti-caking agent, or there's something they put in it that could harm my fish.
Gotcha.
So I've never killed my fish that way before that I know of, but I don't want to accidentally kill my koi, which are this big now.
Yeah, because as soon as they're this big, they're giant Asian carp, and you
No,
can
that's
sell
the
them.
goldfish.
Oh, that's the
giant,
goldfish. Okay.
The heritage giant Asian carp.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do have goldfish this big, but the koi are actually this big.
Gotcha.
The only reason I have koi is he had koi, and then he said, "F it, I'm taking down the system," and he like tossed them in my AP, which is fine because I wanted koi, and they were out of koi at the store.
Always good.
Yeah.
Resourceful.
There was a koi shortage in like 2020.
There was an everything shortage.
Yeah.
There still kind of is a revolving everything shortage.
The revolving everything shortage. Yeah. You know what? Before 2020, there was a canning supply shortage annually here.
You know what? It's funny because canning supplies were never readily available. I mean, you could go to Walmart and get them, but it was like you had a 2-week window.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, it was like you just buy it wherever, whenever, no matter how much it cost if you needed it.
Yeah.
And now it seems like everywhere I go, at least at home, there's canning supplies year round. So that's kind of a nice benefit to it.
Yeah. Yeah. That is. Here it would be like, yeah, same thing. It's a window. And then when you actually needed lids because you didn't buy enough, which was in September, they were not there.
This is why we prep.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I store so many canning lids, because I was like, well, I just hate running out of stuff. So when we had the canning lid jar shortage of 2020, remember that?
Yes.
I actually called the ball factory to find out why it was happening. Because there are a limited number of, like, all of the different jar lids are basically produced by the same company. And you know, there were all these conspiracies about the government doesn't want you canning food and all of this stuff. And it was complete bullshit. All of the conspiracies about the jar lids was bullshit. I called the factory. I'm like, hey, I'm having trouble finding jar lids. Can you tell me what's going on? And she's like, oh, yeah. It's July. I did it in July of that year. And we've had double the demand over the whole year last year by this time. Mm-hmm. And so what we're doing is producing them as fast as we can. We're actually bringing in some more labor and retooling some things to produce more lids, but we were just not set up for producing that many jar lids. So we are sending them to our priority bulk ordering customers. So like people who have restaurants or whatever, or restaurant chains that use them, and they're not making it to the retail shelves.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, see, I'm glad I made that call. So when you hear all of these rumors about things like putting transmitters in cows, I see here in the comments, like, go to the source on that. Did you hear about the new bill they passed? No. Tell me the bill number. Did it pass or did it go through a committee? Is it really a transmitter, or is it like something weird buried in a, you know, Food Safety Modernization Act sort of thing? Is it federal or is it state? Like, there's all these questions. Go to the source and find out. Actually read the bill and see what it is. Because is it possible that there's discussion of putting RFID tags on the ear tags on livestock? Yep. Yeah, they've been talking about that for years. They may have even passed that, and it's probably got an exemption for smaller animals or smaller enterprises. And do I want to put, you know, RFID tags that like geolocate my livestock? Not really.
I mean, there's pros and cons.
Right. I don't want to do it. It's a lot of, I mean, that's a lot of money and hassle for that. But yeah.
But if your couple $1,000 cow gets loose and somebody can just scan the ID tag on it because it ripped off its ear tag, and you can find it. I mean, I can see the pros and cons for both of it. I don't want it, but
yeah, I don't want to be required to do anything, right?
I don't want to be required for it. Yeah.
But they also had, in the last Food Safety Modernization Act, they had like verbiage that could make selling your tomatoes that were extra from your backyard garden illegal.
Yeah. Because
of all the paperwork you had to do, and you did have to geolocate where you got that specific piece of produce. And then right before it passed, somebody's like, well, this is bullshit. And they were like exempted anything small. They're like, this is intended for large farms, not small farms, which was good. The other thing is what they don't know. Then then they don't always need to know all the things.
Nope.
There's that factor too. Packer
No,
says
but they
canning
want to.
supplies were short when Mom was canning in the 70s. Same thing happened in the 70s to the ball jar factory, by the way.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there was like this resurgent to back to the land. It was a reaction to accelerated inflation, and the ball jar lids were not available.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, yeah, there was like this resurgence of people canning and homesteading and all this stuff. But it's also like when they talk about, oh, in 3 weeks there's going to be a fuel shortage because of our reserves are depleting. Well, what's everybody go do? They go fill up all their vehicles, all their gas cans, Walmart trash bags that'll fall apart. Like they do all the things, and then it causes the shortage. So there's also that.
That's what caused our toilet paper shortage
Yes.
of 2020.
Yes.
That, and people went from using the big commercial rolls at work to needing more residential rolls. So it actually was, the production was messed up because, so when you couldn't get toilet paper anywhere, you could still have delivered to your home commercial sized rolls from Uline next day delivery.
All of the janitorial sized products like that were all easily available.
Yeah. And
it just wasn't Cottonelle and Charmin.
Well, the other thing is you could go to smaller grocery stores and buy a 4-pack, but you did not see the cubes of toilet paper at Walmart.
Well, that and all of the other places like Lowe's that sell toilet paper, but it's not Walmart. So Walmart's out of toilet paper, so the country is out of toilet paper.
Right. There was some toilet paper challenges in Europe too. Like it was like a worldwide weird toilet paper thing that happened. Also, there are other ways to clean your backside. It's really interesting to read like the timeline and history of when toilet paper came to be. It has not actually been part of our life that long.
No.
Like a little over a century, I think now. Not long.
No, there was massive pushback against it at first.
Because that's what the Sears catalog is for.
Well, that was part of it. Was why would I go buy a special paper for this when I can just use the stuff that I'm already getting?
Yeah, and it's free.
Yeah, and it was.
They were trying to frame toilet paper in the marketing as more hygienic than your paper that's sitting around the house.
Okay.
Because it's doing a hygienic thing. Anyway, Anna says Mullen. Yep. Cowboy toilet paper.
Well, I was about to say, like, when I moved into the Holler, there was, I think, one spot that there was some Mullen. And now it's like all over. Because we just keep, every time it puts on seed heads, we take it and put it somewhere new. So it's all over now.
So the picture I want everybody to have is tactical redneck with some fairy wings on, like a Halloween costume with seeds doing this all over the Holler every
Pink and
fall.
purple sparkly ones.
Purple sparkly ones, because, doing this with the wand.
It's usually a Rubbermaid, like, food storage container.
But I want you to have that picture in your head, guys, even though that's not exactly how it happened.
Tactical, the ever practical.
Yeah. When he first got sheep, a random gold-colored plastic staff showed up, and we had no idea who sent it. I finally found out who sent it because he was now a shepherdess. It was your shepherdess cane. We got some pictures of him holding that. That was pretty funny. Yeah, A-Ray Pierce says, we need videos of this. Want to do a short?
We can pick the wings up today.
we literally can. We're going to the store. The Solon Mullen Ferry. That was a good one.
Speaking of things that were sent by people that you have no idea who sent them, you got a package this week.
Oh, I got a really cool package. Can you go get one of those engraved things? And a duck? There was no note in this. I actually know who it was. I'm pretty sure it's from Pippinized because Pippinized said they were going to mail me that. And Yeah, it showed up, but there was no note. And I'm like, so every so often you just get a box with no note and you don't know who it's from. And I kind of knew what it was because I had been given the heads up that this was being produced and mailed to me. And I was unpacking, and he's watching me do this. And it's these mason jar cups with my logo on the side, and they're full of rubber ducks.
Full of rubber ducks.
So I don't know the story behind the rubber ducks, Pippanized, and I really want to know the story. Is it that you produce rubber ducks? Like the funniest part of this whole thing was him watching me try to get rubber ducks out of narrow mouth jars. But here we go. So we got 4 living free in Tennessee mugs, and of course, military guard chose the military duck. So isn't that cool? So I'll be sporting one of these at the spring workshop. And rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time so much fun. Okay, let's put that where it doesn't break.
I think my favorite is the unicorn that has not only the horn but a tail.
Okay, the unicorn has a horn and a tail, and it was really hard to like figure out how to gyrate it out of the jar, but I finally got it done.
Yeah.
I think I had to go butt first. Everything else, if I went head first, it was fine. I was like, the horn's in my way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun afternoon, actually, doing that. And Chuck is in the house. Chuck, I'll see you in a few days. Hope you know where you're driving to.
Chuck, my man, how's it going?
So other than that, like the homestead has been just the homestead. I'm behind on planting. I'm almost always behind on planting. I'm more behind than usual.
Yeah.
The schedule is going to go like this for the podcast people. This is the last live stream until for homestead happenings until not next Friday, but the Friday after. There's a Monday show. There's a Tuesday live, and then we will be doing some live streaming from the event as long as the internet works. So there's a caveat there, which sometimes it doesn't. And we'll live stream the sessions so you can see what those are about. And then Monday after the workshop, no show. Tuesday after the workshop, show. So we'll be back to normal schedules. But I'm definitely taking the Monday after the workshop off completely. And I kind of wish that we had not somehow accidentally scheduled a Wednesday interview because it was supposed to be blocked off. But it was not, so it got scheduled. So I'll do the interview, but I'll be really tired. So... And I'll be really wondering if I should buy a car. Probably buy.
Well, we should have the estimate back on the other one.
I'm supposed to get that today, yeah. So I'll see what I don't know what the true damage is. I thought the axle was broken, but it turns out that it's not the axle. I was hit really hard, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's yet to be determined how much damage was there. It's more of a question of did the one part break or did
like
the
7
one part
parts
break something else on its way out?
Yeah. And, I was kind of thinking, like, I want to do a lessons learned video from this because I feel like had this happened to me 10 years ago, I would have been all dramatic about it. You know what I mean? Like, woe is me and FML and all of those things. And I was just like, I sat there having been hit, couldn't get out of my driver's side door because I got hit on the driver's side. And I was like, I just sat there. I was like, just don't move for a second. Okay, because my head bumped on the window, but the window didn't break. I'm like, okay, I'm okay. That's good. That's something. People are like running up to the car to see if there's an injury. And then I like climb over the little middle thing, and my phone had been knocked out of the holder, and it starts talking because Zello was going. Like somebody queued up on Zello right at that moment, and they said, "Hey, Nicole," and I like turned it off. I was like, I don't even want to hear what comes after the "Hey, Nicole" right now. And I queued up because that's how we communicate in the Holler. And I'm like, "Tactical, I'm okay, but I've been in a really bad accident, and I need you to come to this location." And I think you just said okay.
Yep.
And then I was like, get out of the car. The other people were also not hurt miraculously. And I was, all I could think, and it sounds like so starry-eyed, but all I could think was like, wow, nobody was hurt. This is really awesome. And this is going to be a pain in my neck. And then I was, thinking of financing a new car or getting a lease on a car because I've been thinking about getting a newer truck anyway and getting rid of the Tahoe. And I'm like, man, I really like Tahoes now because I am not hurt. And that was awesome. And then I I Googled like Tahoes in the area and immediately found one just like my Tahoe, but I didn't buy it. I didn't know that I had as much money in my emergency fund as I did. So the other thing I've been doing for a long time is just socking cash away every time I have some extra cash around. Like if I look at my wallet and I'm like, that's a lot of cash in there, then I just put some in this pile in this envelope in the safe. And I thought I had a couple $1,000 emergency fund there in addition to my like bank account emergency fund. And so I was like, oh, I made a decision to buy a car and I counted the emergency fund. Like he helped me count. There was a lot of $5 bills in there, guys. So we had to count it like 3 times to make sure. I was like, I have enough in my emergency fund to buy a car right now. Like a, not a $70,000 car, but a reasonable car. And that's never happened before. And that's what the emergency fund's for. Because then there's a piece of me that's like, but don't spend the money, Nicole, because it's your. I'm like, wait a minute, this is an emergency. I'm supposed to use it for that. So, yeah.
Well, it goes from an emergency to an inconvenience.
Yeah.
Because the emergency fund is the inconvenience fund as well.
Yeah. So don't be surprised how much, like, when you have an extra 10 or 20 bucks in your wallet, just putting it somewhere where you just forget it's there can add up over time. Because I've just been doing that since about 2020. I think it was like my finances got wiped out in 2019 by a personal matter. And I just like every time if somebody handed me $5 for something, I'd be like, we'll just pretend that never happened. Or if I don't know, I broke 100 and I'd take an extra 20 out and throw it in there and pretend like I wasn't there, sort of thing. So K-Bonk wants to know, speaking of trucks, how's Tactical's truck?
I'm ready to set it on fire.
He's ready to set it on fire. Yeah, he got stranded again. So that's actually really inconvenient timing for mine to also be down.
Yeah. I mean, technically, I didn't get stranded. I managed to limp it back to the house with the truck putting itself in gear and taking itself out of gear over and 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 over again.
Yeah.
Because this is what happens when you put computers on things that shouldn't have computers.
Yeah. Hand me that cup again. Pack Rat, this is from you, right? I need to know the significance of the ducks. I'm very curious. Okay. Also, thank you. Yeah, when you get another Tahoe, just push this into the thicket. Well, so I'm actually getting an estimate. As I said, I don't know if its replacement will be covered or not, but I'm going to find out, like, what does it take to get it roadworthy? And we'll have, what's it called? The Holler?
The Holler Bomber.
The Holler Bomber. Because it's, like if the frame's not bent, it's actually still, and it's still mechanically sound. It's a four-wheel drive vehicle that can do things in the holler. And it just may not be the thing that I need to drive to Kansas and back pulling my camper.
Less aesthetically pleasing, but still fully functional.
Yeah. That's okay. It's okay. One of my instructors threw his extra 5s and 10s to the top of his dresser for years, and it was 10 grand when he counted it. Yeah. It's really like if you don't dip into it, it adds up. It's if you keep dipping into it for things that are emergencies, that it does not,
well,
it does not add up.
And I'm not a financial expert, and I definitely don't play one on TV. But if you're going to go the route of having your insurance where you just have liability and don't have full coverage, maybe one should think about taking the extra that they save and putting that in an emergency fund for vehicle replacement.
Yeah.
Because if you save $50 a month on that, that'll add up. And then you just have to do your cost, your cost comparison on what it's going to cost to replace it versus how much am I going to save.
That requires doing math.
It does, but I love math.
Hey, I'm number dyslexic and I use spreadsheets anyway, and I do math. But and I bitch about it the whole time, but I do it, right?
She inputs in QuickBooks, does math.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay.
I wasn't inputting in QuickBooks.
You weren't in QuickBooks?
That was a spreadsheet.
Oh, that was...
Yeah, because QuickBooks can kiss my ass. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The QuickBooks desktop version that I learned on in the 90s was actually pretty good. The online version doesn't do what I need it to do.
I meant Excel, not QuickBooks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm computer illiterate.
Okay. Yeah, there's different bookkeeping versus, yeah. Yes. Anyway. Little ducky mug is not for me. Oh, well, who sent me the mugs? Somebody actually said they were sending me the mugs.
I thought you said you thought it was Pippenized.
Oh, it's pack rat. It's Pippenized. Sorry, I was missing my P's up in my head. This is what it's like to be in a person's head who can be a little dyslexic sometimes.
It's been
Sorry, pack rat.
Yeah, it's been an eye-opening experience being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Right?
Because other people are as different as I am.
Yeah.
Very comforting to know.
AJ fit right in here. He watches me like go into scatter mode. He's like, "Oh yeah, I do that sometimes."
Yeah.
And he just smiles. Tactical doesn't do scatter mode the way I do, so when I go into scatter mode and he's in like one thing at a time mode, I see him like turn his ears off. Like I see the look on his face when he's like, "I'm just not going to listen to the words that are coming out of her mouth right now."
Pretty much. And she gets like, yep. Okay. Okay.
So it is Pippenized. Sweet. The ducks can be for a few different things. Mostly, yeah, Pippenized. It was like the most fun I had was getting those ducks out. We should have filmed it.
I should have recorded it. 'Cause it was like sheer joy of like a 4-year-old opening a new present, pulling them all out. It was great. That was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. It was very fun. Okay, we're coming up on an hour, guys, in the live stream. So if you don't have questions, we are going to wrap because I'm going to go into Mama Sauce mode, which is like beyond rhinoceros mode. Like rhinoceros mode is one thing, but Mama Sauce mode is beyond rhinoceros, right? It's like a herd of rhinoceri.
Yeah, that's why when you said that, I was like, I'm not mentally prepared to deal with that yet. I need at least like 24 hours.
I almost just changed your ticket and flew her in early and was like, you just need to be here before the workshop because we need to get our butts in gear. Or we can just pretend she's here and get it done.
Okay.
Ooh, the rain's going to start. You know how you know the rain's going to start?
Because the temperature just
Because
dropped
the
10
temperature
degrees.
just dropped 10 degrees and wind came and I'm starting to smell the smell. The rain. I'm not just smelling the compost pile right now.
Which smells better than
It does.
a couple
Thank
days
you.
ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a whole thing. We had to get so there's a lot of meat stuff in the compost pile because we took the innards from the sheep he processed and put it in there. And then we put chips on it. And it's like, nope, it still smells like a whale dying on a beach. More wood chips. And then finally, what'd you do to get it like really handled?
Tactical poured a 12-pack of Natural Light on top of it.
Yeah.
And then we added more wood chips. And then we added more water to it. And it seems to be doing... Oh, and I like pulled out back from the edge and stuffed fresh wood chips around.
Yeah, it's like made a more of an encapsulated in wood chip situation. So what we've learned is if you're going to put a lot of fleshy meat offal into your compost, you need to make like a donut hole first, put it in the donut hole, and then cover it with wood chips. Yeah.
Yeah. That was day 1 here, and I was not thinking that when I did that. So,
you know, we also need to stop adding stuff to that compost pile, but it's the only one we have like that right now. So
why didn't we build a compost pile on the workshop to-do list? Like instead we're doing the hydro system. Anyway, cool. Okay, well, guys, if you like the show and want to support the work I'm doing here, you can do it in 2 ways. 1, get your coffeeware.
Holleroast.com.
And if you sign up for the newsletter, you will be let in on the big mystery product that we are launching in May. We have a new product coming out, and I have asked everybody to email me with their guesses. If you email me your guess, you go on to a special secret squirrel second email list where you're going to get a launch coupon code. It will be the only time we have a coupon code of this in probably ever. We've never done it before. I don't put things on sale, but we're going to do a launch price. And then
y'all, it's going to be epic.
It's going to be pretty cool.
You definitely want to be involved with
Wait,
us.
you know what it is?
I just happened to.
He just happens. He happened to see what it was.
I'm feeling really blessed because I've been ordained as an actual Holler neighbor now, as well as in the know on things. So that's what you get when you travel and like force your way into community.
It totally is. Yeah. The other way you can support me is actually like support me by supporting people who are in the community, if you want to come to the spring workshop, I have 2 tickets up on the site because we have 2 people who have an illness, and I want to be able to refund their deposit. So if you grab those tickets, I will refund their deposit. Everybody wins because you get to come here and they get to have their tickets refunded. If you have trouble finding the tickets, just send me an email. We'll get you hooked up.
You know, you also don't talk about the fact that you have an awesome membership program on your website
I do.
that has a ton of information on there.
I know. That's because I only do 2 calls to action at the end, and that wasn't one of them this time.
Well, but I'm adding a third.
Oh, yeah, because if you're in the membership program in June when we do the member webinar, it's Joel Salatin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's totally worth it, guys.
Yeah,
Check
and
it out.
he's gonna be talking about his time management strategy. So it's like something a little different than most people have Joel Salatin on for, but I heard him talking about it and I was like, that fits really well with my 3 things and we need to have you on. So
It's gonna be epic.
it is gonna be epic. That's all at livingfreeintennessee.com. With that, go out, make it a great week.